Hi everyone! Today on Dessertophilia, I'm showing you how to make a stunning blueberry mousse cake that's actually an entremet with visible layers. And it all starts with a kilogram or a little over 2 pounds of fresh or frozen blueberries. Bring the blueberries to a simmer and then reduce them for 10 to 12 minutes. Pour the boiling hot blueberries into a sieve and start pressing and pushing them through the sieve with a soft silicone spatula. This is a task that requires a bit of time and patience, so don't rush it. As long as you have a somewhat creamy and wet consistency in the sieve, keep pressing. And this is exactly what I mean. You see, there's still some pulp there. So continue pressing. Now that you're done, scrape the bottom of the sieve with another spatula and save the skins and seeds for your yogurt snack. Now, strain the puree again, this time through a finer sieve. This time, however, it's going to happen a lot faster because most of the seeds and skins have already been separated. Cover the resulted blueberry puree with plastic wrap directly on the surface and refrigerate it. The first piece in building this stunning entremet is the blueberry jelly. And to make the jelly, you need 3 gelatin sheets hydrated in ice-cold water. Set the gelatin aside for now and let it sit for about 10 minutes. In the meantime, gently heat 20 milliliters of agave syrup with 150 grams of blueberry puree. There's no need to bring it to a simmer, just heat it on a small flame until the syrup completely dissolves into the puree. When the sweetened puree is warm but not actually hot, squeeze out the excess water from the gelatin and add it to the pot. Stir it in and you'll notice that the mixture becomes very glossy and shiny. Now pour the puree through a fine sieve into a 16 cm silicone mold. The reason why I'm straining it again is to remove air bubbles and ensure the smoothest possible texture. Now give it a little shake to make sure it's level. Let it cool down to room temperature and then freeze it for at least 2 hours. The second layer in this entremet is a blueberry crémeux, which also starts with 3 gelatin leaves in ice-cold water. In my double bottom pot, I have 50 grams of xylitol and to that I'm adding 4 egg yolks. Mix those very well. Once the egg yolks are thoroughly mixed with the xylitol, add 200 grams of blueberry puree and whisk again. Make sure the mixture is perfectly homogeneous before you take it to the stove. Cook it on a small to medium flame while whisking constantly until it reaches 85 degrees Celsius. Remove it from the heat, let it sit for 5 minutes and then add the hydrated gelatin sheets. Stir very well. Then pour this mixture through a sieve over 60 grams of cold butter. Again, I'm straining it to ensure the smoothest possible texture. Stir gently without incorporating air until the butter dissolves completely. And this is how you make a blueberry crémeux. Set it aside for a few minutes until you unmold the frozen jelly. I am wearing disposable rubber gloves here because I don't want the heat from my hands to melt the jelly. It's best if you work very fast. Now put the jelly disc with the shiny surface on the bottom of an 18 cm silicone mold and press it gently. Pour the crémeux over the jelly and then shake the platter to level it. And then freeze it for at least 4 hours. After this time has passed, it's time to remove this larger disc from the mold and place it into a 20 cm silicone mold, again with the circles facing the bottom. And now you can see why it's so important to wear gloves and work fast. Even so, that silky smooth, delicate crémeux might melt a little. But don't worry, it's okay. Return the discs to the freezer, clean the other mold, and let's make the lemon financier. In my mixing bowl I have 70 grams of xylitol and directly over it I am zesting a lemon. Whenever you use citrus fruit, make sure you use organic and clean it very well. Mix well to release the oils from the zest and then add 25 ml of lemon juice. Mix again. Now add 10 grams of honey and mix again. A financier doesn't contain any egg yolks, just as a crémeux doesn't contain any whites. So let's use the 4 egg whites we separated from the yolks we needed to make the crémeux. To avoid that the financier rises too much in the oven, I prefer to use the whites cold. Whisk them in very vigorously and then add the dry ingredients. Sift in 80 grams of almond meal, 50 grams of all-purpose flour, 1 gram of baking powder and a tiny pinch of salt. Push the coarser almond meal through the sieve with a silicone spatula and then whatever remains add it as such. The coarser pieces give the financier texture and all the sifting we did ensures that there aren't any lumps. Mix very well and then add 5 ml of grapeseed oil, followed by 80 grams of melted butter. The butter should be warm but not hot. Add the butter slowly while you're mixing. Once the butter is completely incorporated, you'll have a beautiful, homogeneous texture to your batter. Pour this fragrant batter into the 18 cm silicone mold you just cleaned. Give it a little shake, and then bake the financier at 170 Celsius for 40 minutes. After you take it out of the oven, let it sit at room temperature for an hour. Then, invert it on a platter, let it cool down completely to room temperature and freeze it for at least 2 hours. The next component of this entremet is a blueberry mousse, and this starts with 4 sheets of gelatin hydrated in ice-cold water. While the gelatin sits, whip 250 ml of very cold whipping cream for no longer than 90 seconds on a low speed. In my bowl I have 35 grams of xylitol and to that I'm adding 5 ml of lemon juice. Give this a quick stir and then add 150 grams of hot blueberry puree. Stir very well to dissolve the xylitol and then take the temperature of the mixture. It should be at around 60 degrees Celsius when you add the gelatin. Squeeze out the excess water and then mix it very well. Your mixture will become very shiny and glossy. While the puree is ever so slightly warm, pour in about a third of the softly whipped cream. Stir well until you have a homogeneous mixture and then pour this into the remaining whipped cream. Isn't that color just amazing? Fold until there are no more visible streaks of white, but make sure you work as fast as you can because that gelatin sets before you know it. And now you can see why I whipped the cream only for 1.5 minutes. The mousse needs to be pourable to encapsulate the other 2 discs. Now shake the platter to level the mousse. Take the frozen financier and carefully drop it right into the center of the mousse. Very carefully press and turn it until the base reaches the same level as the mousse. Use a small offset spatula to remove the excess mousse and then wipe the sides of the mold clean. Freeze the blueberry mousse cake for 8 hours. To make the glaze, we're gonna have to start with 4 gelatin sheets hydrated in ice cold water. In my pot, I have 50 grams of xylitol, and to that I'm adding 50 milliliters of lemon juice and 250 milliliters of water, along with 60 milliliters of agave syrup. While the mixture heats up, stir gently to make sure everything is well combined, and then bring it to a full boil. Then cut the heat and let it cool down to 60 degrees Celsius. Add the hydrated gelatin sheet and stir well. Then transfer the glaze into a cup that makes it easy to pour from, cover it with plastic wrap directly on the surface and let it cool down to room temperature. Then take the cake out of the freezer and unmold it. It's so much easier to do this when you're working with silicone molds, and look at those beautiful, beautiful sides. It's true that you can achieve similar results with regular springform pans and acetate sheet, but the entire process would have taken a lot longer. Carefully place the frozen cake on an inverted bowl that sits on a large plate. Start pouring the glaze from the center of the cake and move your way outwards, covering the sides. This is a very thin neutral glaze, not a thick mirror glaze. Its purpose is to seal the cake to prevent it from drying. Turn the plate as you need and continue pouring on the sides to make sure you cover them completely. After you finish, let the cake sit for 10 minutes. Use a small offset spatula to clean the bottom sides of the cake from the glaze drippings, and then take 2 large offset spatulas and carefully transfer the cake onto your serving platter. To remove the spatulas without damaging the cake, carefully pull them to the sides, one after the other. Because the cake is deep frozen, the thin glaze freezes as well. But don't worry, as the cake defrosts, so does the glaze and it becomes transparent again. And this can take anywhere between 4 and 6 hours in the fridge. And because this glaze is functional but it doesn't help matters from an aesthetic point of view, a hill of fresh blueberries is there to the rescue. And after it's had a proper chance to defrost, you'll notice that the cake slices perfectly. I do recommend wiping the knife clean between cuts. There's a lot of work going into an entremet like this, but it's totally, completely worth it. Enjoy! And as always, if you like this recipe, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and let me know in the comments below what you'd like to see next. Until next time, Dessertophiles!